stream. My name is Alicia, and in this week's live lesson, we are going to talk about how to give extra detail with relative clauses. That means we are going to practice using who, which, and that today in this grammar point. So this is a grammar point that has lots of questions associated with it. So we're going to talk about how to make relative clauses. Of course, what are relative clauses? And we're also going to look at some examples and some tips, some ways you can make these shorter, and so on. So as you join, please make sure to hit the like button and of course share this video so that other people can find today's lesson. That would be super cool. Of course, send a message in the chat so we can say hi and make sure you are all there. Okay, a couple of super quick announcements. The first one is about this banner at the bottom of the screen. If you have not checked this, maybe I shared this once or twice before, but the team has created these free worksheets. There are now free worksheets for you to download and practice with at EnglishClass101.com. So if you click this link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook, you will find this page right here. If you have an account at EnglishClass101.com, you can log in and download all this stuff. If you go down on this page, you can find many different topics to practice your writing, practice answering questions, and so on. So take a look at the different topics. We have vocabulary for parts of speech, about holidays, cultural points, and so on. There's a lot. So go check this and download it for free. If you do not have an account at EnglishClass101.com, you can make one. It is free. You need your name and your email address. So please take a look if you want to get some free writing practice worksheets. Check that out. That is announcement number one. Announcement number two, of course, if you have questions for me that are completely different from today's lesson, or if you think of something tomorrow or in the middle of the week, you can send it to me. Please send it to me for our question and answer series called Ask Alicia. This is a very old screenshot from it. But if you want to send me your questions for this series, please send it to me at the official question submission page. Don't send it to me on Facebook. Don't send it on YouTube comments. Don't send it on Instagram or Twitter, or I don't even know where else you might send it, but please don't. Don't send it there. There's too many messages. I will probably not see it. So please send it to the official question submission page. There's a link in the YouTube description. It is EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. So please check that out. I will definitely read your question. 100% I will read your question. So please send it. Okay. All right. That's all for our announcements. I think everything is going okay. I see Facebook is okay. YouTube is okay. Great. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Excellent. Okay, cool. So yes, if you have not, send me your questions for Ask Alicia here. Also, if you want to find me on social media, you can find my Instagram and my Twitter accounts in the link below the YouTube description too. Okay, it looks like everything is rolling. Okay, I see Facebook is here. Hi, Facebook. Welcome everybody on Facebook. Hi, Rodrigo. Hi, Yasim. Hello, Tigani. Hello. Someone, I can't read your name. Sorry. Own. Hello. Knock. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right, today we are going to talk about relative clauses. If you missed it, this is our topic for today. Or did I move it down? Oops. Okay, so we are going to cover a kind of tricky grammar point, actually. This sometimes is a little bit tricky, a little bit challenging. YouTube, it looks like YouTube is okay. Hi, Isabel and Ulysses and Sundar. Hi, Rased, Hawa, Tutasan from Myanmar. Hello, Hazel, welcome. Hi, everybody. There are lots of new faces. I feel I have not seen many of your names before. Welcome. If you are joining for the first time, welcome. Okay, let's look at today's lesson flow now. So if you want to take a screenshot, now is your first chance. Here are today's lesson boards. First, we are going to talk about what is a relative clause? What is a relative clause? And some examples. Then I created this kind of very basic three-step process to create relative clauses. And then we're going to look at some examples and some tips, how to make it shorter, What's the difference between that and which, and so on. Okay, we have a lot to cover. And as always, if you want to write an example sentence, please send it in the chat. I will try to check live, but there are many messages. So let's go. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I have to, if you haven't, don't forget to like and share the video. It helps other people find it. I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. I liked it and I shared it. Cool. Mayumi, hey Mayumi. Okay, all right. So let's get into our first point for today. What is a relative clause? Today's main grammar point. What is it? What does it mean? A relative clause is, okay, don't be afraid of the first sentence. I'm going to explain it. So a relative clause. A relative clause, what is it? It's a dependent clause that gives more detail about something, or it makes something more specific, okay? So it's a dependent clause. What is a dependent clause? A dependent clause is, it looks like a sentence. It's a group of words. It has like a subject and a verb, but it cannot stand alone. It needs more information. So I'm going to share some examples of this in today's lesson so you understand. So the key point is these relative clauses, they give us more detail about something. They tell us extra information, or they help us understand specific information about something, okay? So we're going to look at many examples today. Then point 2, relative clauses start with relative pronouns. So today we are going to focus on who, which, and that, but there are other words we can use to start a relative clause. But today we're going to practice using these, okay? So to begin, let's look at some examples so we can understand the different parts of this sentence that work together to create relative clauses. So first, let's look at this first example. I made this example sentence about my phone. This is a true sentence about my phone, okay? So this phone, which I bought 2 years ago, is an iPhone 11. This phone, which I bought 2 years ago, is an iPhone 11. Okay? So here in red, this underlined red part, this is the relative clause. This is one type of a dependent clause. So I said a dependent clause is like a sentence. It's like a part of a sentence, but it cannot stand alone. This part is which I bought 2 years ago. Which I bought 2 years ago. So this group of words, it cannot be a sentence alone. It depends on other information. We need more information. That's why it's called a dependent clause, okay? Around the relative clause is this phone is an iPhone 11. This phone is an iPhone 11. This sentence is okay. It doesn't need other information. It's what's called an independent clause or a simple sentence. It can stand alone. So today we are going to practice making this part in red. So here we have basic information, yeah? This phone is an iPhone 11. Very simple sentence, yeah? Here we have extra information, right? We want to share some extra detail. So this is what we're going to practice today, okay? Let's look at one more example. This one uses a person. My teacher, who is American, is very talkative. My teacher, who is American, is very talkative. So again, here, underlined in red, who is American. This part is my relative clause, okay? So this part is my extra information. The extra information is about my subject, my teacher, okay? So this part, we cannot use it alone. We cannot say, who is American? It does, what? Who? What? We have to have more information about this part. So this gives us extra bonus information here. Again, this part, my teacher is very talkative. Without this part, my teacher is very talkative is 100% correct, right? It's a simple sentence. So we add information here to give extra information. Okay, cool. So I will look for your example sentences. Oh, some are already coming. Wow, great job, everybody. Okay, I'll start on Facebook. Rosa says, my Spanish teacher, who is Mexican, is very quiet. Okay, nice one, Rosa. Conwell says, the woman standing over there wearing a black sweater is my classmate. Nice one. Don't forget your article there. Juan, Alicia, who lives in Japan, is an excellent teacher. Thank you. Nice sentence, too. Okay. Relaxing Makeup says, this tree, which I planted last year, is a mango tree. Nice one. Okay. Nice ones, everybody. Okay. Haru says, my friend who lives in Tokyo is pregnant with twins. Nice. Okay, great. Great example sentences so far. Sounds good. So today we're going to look at some differences between relative pronouns, how to make these shorter, and how to practice. So, last note here. Who, which, and that. So, in our examples, we saw one about a person, right? My teacher, who is American. So when you start your relative clause, the first word in the relative clause, if this is about a person, use who. We use who for people, yeah? So my teacher, who is American. We use which or that for objects and concepts. So, for example here, this sentence is about my phone, right? So my first word that starts the relative clause is which. This phone, which I bought 2 years ago, is an iPhone 11, okay? I'll talk in part 3 today about the difference in use here, okay? So for now, this is our introduction. What is a relative clause? Okay, great. So continue, send your example sentences and I'll try to check, I will try to read them live as always. So I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll go to part 2, the 3-step process to making your own sentences with this grammar point. Okay, so if you missed it earlier, there is this free banner. Our team has created free worksheets, free worksheets for you to practice your writing skills. You can find these from the link below the video. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, check the link above the video that's on the Facebook feed. You can find, if you go down on the page, you will find lots and lots of different topics that you can download as a PDF and practice. You can print and write, do writing practice. So you can choose a topic that you think you need some practice with. You can find, it's really small here, I know. You can find like conversation practice and practicing like verbs, for example, or adjectives, for example. So check this out if you want to get some writing practice. And of course, vocabulary practice too. So this is at EnglishClass101.com. If you have an account, you can log in here and get them. If you do not have an account, you can make one for free. So check it out. I hope that that is helpful for everybody that wants to get some writing practice. Okay, so that is our break. Let's get back into part 2. Okay, some of your example sentences are coming in. Facebook says, Snell says, the man who is show up right here is an American. Okay, maybe, so the man who showed up here is an American? Maybe, I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can let me know if that's correct. My friend who is a businessman is very smart, Mahmoud. So you have my friend who is a businessman, he is very smart. You don't need to say he twice. So that's kind of the nice point of relative clauses. I'll show you a trick later, or in part 2. I'm going to introduce in part 2 and part 3 a really good trick to help you check if your sentence is correct or not. Okay. So someone said, can I use this for people? Yes, we just practiced a sentence for people. All right, some other examples. Where can I get the PDF? Check the link you're watching on YouTube, Abdifa, sorry if I said your name right, below the video on YouTube. Okay, I have to go to part 2. So continue sending your questions. So let's look now. I made a very basic 3-step process to practice making sentences with relative clauses. So let's look at it. Also, if you haven't, please just take a second and hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm for other people to find the video. Okay, let's go to the next part. how do we use relative clauses? How do we make sentences? So if you are a super beginner or you just want to practice a different style, I made a 3-step, very basic process. So step 1 is to choose your focus topic. So what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? So we have objects. You can look around your apartment or look around your house. So maybe your phone, your TV, a book, a computer, car, maybe you have flowers like me. So choose your focus topic, step 1. Could be a person, like your family member, a coworker, your friend, your teacher, whatever. So first choose your focus topic. Step 2, make a simple sentence. Very simple sentence, okay? So that means you have your focus topic, your subject, and you have probably just one verb. Very simple. So my first example was, this phone is an iPhone 11. This phone is an iPhone 11. Very simple sentence, right? And my teacher is very talkative. Very simple sentence, right? Okay, so here's step 2. Then step 3, choose your relative pronoun, remember who, which, or that, and your extra information. So what's the bonus information you want to share about your focus topic, okay? Put it after the subject. So in this case, our subject is this phone, so put it here, or my teacher, so put it here. Remember, your relative pronoun is the first word in your relative clause. So again, this phone, which I bought 2 years ago, is an iPhone 11. And my teacher, who is American, is very talkative. So this part right here comes after the subject, right? So this is a very, very basic way to create a sentence with a relative clause. So after your relative clause, finish the sentence with the same information you had here. Make sure this verb right here, goes after the relative clause. Okay, I will look for your questions now, and then I'll talk about a trick to make sure you're correct. Let's see. Nayeli, when we use these words, do we always separate the ideas with a comma? Super great question. I will answer that in part 3. I promise you. It's a good question. Someone is sending many messages on Facebook that are not about how can I join these classes. You are in the class now. You have joined. Hello. Okay. There's an example. HHL. This book, which I read 2 months ago, is very interesting. Very nice. Tuta-san, I hope I said your name correctly, said, my friends. If you want to use the plural, my friend, or my friends who live in Myanmar, is very funny. I'm not sure if that's singular or plural. My friend, one friend, multiple friends. Either way, very close. My friend who lives in Myanmar is very funny is good for one person. Okay? Others. This house, which is leaky, is the one I sold 1 year ago. Oh, you sold a leaky house, Shinsuke. Okay. I'm glad you sold the house. Okay. Some other ones. I'm looking, there's some long comments coming on Facebook. Marcia says, Alicia, who is very intelligent, is a teacher of English. It is a clause. Yeah, that's an example. So who is very intelligent? Yes. So that's a very nice sentence. But yes, that's the grammar is correct. Nice one. Okay. Okay, some people are using that in the sentence. Nice. So we're going to talk about how to choose between that and which in part 3. Okay. Others, okay, let's continue on to the next part, I think, because some of you are using that in your examples, and that's great. But I want to talk about how to understand the difference between which and that, okay? So I hope that everybody can use them perfectly. Oh, I forgot the tip. I said I was going to tell you a tip. I'll do this once now, and I'll do this once later. So I said there's a really good tip, a really easy way to check your sentence. The tip is, so after you create your sentence, so you made your simple sentence. Then you added number 3. You do number 3. When you get to your final sentence, you can check to make sure the position is correct. Just remove this part again. So in this case, my teacher who is American is very talkative. Remove this part. My teacher is very talkative, right? The sentence becomes my teacher is very talkative. If this sentence is correct, that means you use the correct position for the relative clause, okay? That means it's in the right spot. So for example, if you put who is American, I don't know, after is, like my teacher, oh, actually that won't work, never mind. I'll stop that tip. I'll stop that tip. But make sure that you have this in the right position. So it should be after the subject, after the subject. My teacher, who is American, is very talkative. So that's a good tip you can use to make sure that your clause is in the correct place. Okay, phew. All right, we'll take one more super quick break, and then I'm gonna go to, that and which, comma questions, and reduced clauses. Oh my gosh, that's a lot for part 3. Other examples are coming in. The Samsung phone, which I purchased 2 years ago, is out of warranty and is no longer returnable. Nice one, Ion. That's a lot of vowels in your name. Nice one, that's good. Just the Samsung phone, which I purchased 2 years ago, comma, is out of warranty, and I would say and is no longer returnable. I guess I would say that. Okay, good. Are relative clauses and adjective clauses the same? No. My brother, who is the oldest one, is very smart. Okay, maybe my brother, who is the oldest in my family, or my brother, who is my oldest sibling, is very smart. Okay, nice examples, everybody. Let's take one more quick break, and then we'll go to the last part, maybe the trickiest part, okay? So if you missed it, very quickly, there are free worksheets. The team has created some free writing worksheets. If you want to practice writing, you can look at, as I showed you earlier, many different topics. So if you want to practice writing about a holiday, for example, or if you want to practice parts of speech, the team created a lot of worksheets for you to practice your writing. So at the bottom here, this last group right here has some stuff about how to talk about like your everyday routine and so on. If you have trouble or questions getting this, there's also this 1, 2, 3, 4 step process so you can check to make sure you can download everything. Okay. All right, so let's go to part 3. Part 3 has lots and lots of information. All right, let's go to the last section. Also, if you haven't, please make sure to hit the like button because it helps the algorithm tell people about our video. Phew, okay, let's go. So, examples and tips. Okay, we have a lot to talk about here. First, we are going to talk about that and which. So, the first part in red says, use that for restrictive relative clauses. What is a restrictive relative clause? So, a restrictive relative clause, it gives us essential information. Essential information. You might think, what does that even mean? Okay, so this is important when, for example, you have 2 objects. You're in a conversation about 2 objects. And you need to make it clear which object you're talking about, right? So let's look at this example. So these 2 sentences are a pair, and these 2 sentences use that, not which, okay? There's a reason. So let's look at the first sentence. The book that is on the table isn't mine. The book that is on the table isn't mine. The book that is in my bag is mine. The book that is in my bag is mine. So, what's happening here? In this situation, there are 2 books, yeah? The book on the table and the book that is in my bag, right? So, the key here is I'm using that because I need to be specific about the different books. So, this sounds much more natural than the book which is on the table isn't mine. The book which is in my bag is mine. It sounds more natural to use that when you are being specific about these types of things, okay? So when this is an example, these two sentences are examples of restrictive relative clauses. So a restrictive relative clause is a relative clause that gives us essential information about the noun, yeah? So in this case, we have to know it's the book that's on the table to understand which one, yeah? So in these cases, we use that. And you'll notice no commas around restrictive relative clauses. No commas around restrictive relative clauses. Earlier, we saw commas, yeah, around it. Like, my teacher, who is American, is very talkative. In this example sentence, we saw a comma around the relative clause, yeah? That's called a non-restrictive relative clause, okay? So when you use this type, no comma. When you use the other type, you can remove it from the sentence and we can still understand it. You don't, when you cannot remove this from the sentence and still understand the specific information, no comma. That's the point. Okay? All right. Some examples of restrictive ones are coming in. Rosa says, the coffee that is on the table is mine. Okay. Hazel says, the phone that is in, not on, the phone that is in my hand is not mine. LOL. Really? Okay. My wife has a bottle of, it's not perfume. Okay. The other ones, the car that is in the garage is not mine, says Juan. Wow, a lot of you sound like you have mysterious objects in your home that do not belong to you. Kung says, the chair on the cake is mine? Why is there a chair on a cake? I don't know if you are being very creative out there, everybody, or try to use a different example sentence, yeah? So these are my examples here today. So what else could you say? You could use a person, yeah? So like the person that is talking to my teacher isn't my friend, for example, okay? So we can, someone asked that earlier, we do sometimes use that to talk to people. The person that's talking to the teacher isn't my friend. The person that's talking to my roommate is my friend, for example. Okay, all right, let's continue because there are more points today. So this was part 1 here, using that and our comma point. Lastly, I want to talk about reducing relative clauses. We can make these shorter. I have done it a couple times in today's lesson, I think. So you can reduce relative clauses when you use ing verbs. So I just mentioned one common example. So when we use verbs in the progressive form, which we sometimes do in these cases, we can reduce the clause. We can make it shorter. Let's look at this example. Here, the person who is talking to the teacher is my mother. The person who is talking to the teacher is my mother. Okay, so in this sentence, here is my red underline. Who is talking to the teacher? The person who is talking to the teacher. So I have this as my relative clause, yeah? And here's my simple sentence. The person is my mother. The person is my mother. That's like, Okay, we need to know. We need to know this information. In this sentence, we have who is talking. So this ing form here, this is a big hint. We can make this sentence shorter. To do that, we remove your relative pronoun, who, and your linking verb, usually be, yeah? Who is, in this case. So the sentence becomes, the person talking to the teacher is my mother. This sentence is perfectly correct, just a little shorter. So we use this a lot in everyday communication. The person talking to the teacher is my mother. This is also 100% correct. It doesn't sound more casual or more formal, whatever. It's just a different way to express the same idea. So you can use whichever you prefer. It's up to you. Okay? All right, I'm looking at your comments now, your questions. Let's see. some very interesting ones. Okay, Ernesto says the computer that is on the desk is mine. The computer that is on the desk is mine. Nice one, Ernesto. Some more from Facebook. Sorry, hard to see. Other ones. The book that is in my bag is mine. Yes, that was my example sentence. Havo says the person talking on the screen is my teacher, and her name is Alicia. Very nice. Okay. Sorry, sir. Hey, when you talk to women, make sure to use, if you want to use a title, sir is for men. Yeah, sometimes you send me messages that say sir. Sir is used for men. Use miss or ma'am if you want to. Just Alicia is fine though. Okay, let's look at YouTube comments. YouTube. The boy dancing over there is my brother. Nice one. Okay. HHL says the project that I am working on is terrible. Oh no, really? I hope it's okay. Others, let's see. I'm looking for things about today's topic. Dilshad says the person who is driving a car is my father. Okay, maybe the person who is driving the car. If you say the person who is driving a car, it sounds like some car out there, unknown. Maybe if you are in the car, like the person who is driving the car right here is my father. Okay, phew. Other points? I don't see other questions or other examples, and time, oh my gosh, I'm late as always. So I have to finish there for today. I know I covered a lot of different topics related to relative clauses. If you would like to know more about this topic, I have some videos on the English Class 101 YouTube channel. I've created videos about dependent clauses and independent clauses. So use your Google skills. Go to the English Class 101 YouTube channel or the EnglishClass101.com website. Just search relative clause and you will find some more lessons that I've created. Hopefully that will help you and you can get some more practice with this grammar point. Okay, we have to finish that for today. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of information. Let's wrap it up. So if you would like to take a picture of today's lesson boards, here is your last chance for today. All right, we talked about first, what is a relative clause? What is this thing? We talked about relative clauses, dependent clauses, and we introduced relative pronouns. Today we practiced using who, which, and that. Second, I introduced a very, very basic three-step process to make sentences with relative clauses. And third, we looked at the difference between that and which. We talked about using commas with this grammar point, and we talked about reducing relative clauses, how to make this shorter. Okay, cool. So we have to finish for today's lesson. That was a lot of information. As I said, if you want to get more practice, definitely use your search skills. I have quite a few videos about these topics. But let's finish today's lesson topic and go to next lesson. Where are you? Next lesson? Okay, next lesson topic. Next week I'll be back as always. Next week the lesson date will be April 27th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please Google it. Or you can set a notification on Facebook or on YouTube. Or if you follow me on Instagram, you can find a topic reminder and a link in my stories every week. I always post that in my stories, sometimes with something very silly there too. So follow along on Instagram if you want that update too. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to work on speaking and listening skills alone. How do we do this when we do not have a teacher? Or how do we do this when we can't go to our lessons in person? Or just, what are some tips? What are some ideas? Next week, we're going to talk about this topic, so I hope that you get some ideas. Okay, I have to say goodbye for this week, so thank you, as always, for joining me live. Don't forget, if you want to get free worksheets to practice your writing skills, check this out from the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. Check that out there. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter if you would like to. You can also find those links below the video on YouTube. All right, I'm going to say goodbye for now. So I hope you have a great day and a great week. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for liking and sharing this video. And enjoy your weekend. I will see you again